Why do us humans stress about the past? The past is something that we can use to reflect on what we can do to improve ourselves or our circumstances in the future. But it's not something that we should be stuck on at all times. Yesterday, I found myself thinking about how sometimes I wish that I could have relived my relationship differently that ended after a year and a half. How I could have treated her maybe a little bit better. How maybe I could have prolonged the relationship if I had done things differently. But the truth is that those things happened for a reason, and the mistakes I made and the choices I made as well ultimately made me the person I am today. A person of which I am proud to be. Now, I have a strong belief in the fact that everything happens for a reason. And so that would mean that the breakup was inevitable and it was just a part of the path my life was destined to go down. Last week, I failed a midterm for my stat class. Now, after I failed the midterm, after taking the midterm, I knew I did poorly right off the bat. And I could have spent the next couple days beating myself up over it or trying to justify why doing poorly was good. But instead, the right thing to do is to just move on and try to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes for the next time. The next time being the final. And so since then, I've put forth a good amount of effort to stay attuned to studying what I need to for that class so that I can do well when the final comes. I feel like a lot of students beat themselves up too much over failure. Failure is something of the past. After you have failed, it becomes the past. It's not that you are failing, it's that you have failed, right? Past tense. But from this, we can learn to become better at not failing the specific things we did fail at, and also, in general, improving upon what we have done wrong. There's something called the locus of control, and it basically states that there are things in your control and things not in your control. And the things not in your control, you should not worry about because there's no point in worrying about something you can't control, right? Something, for example, so an example of this is getting into an accident, right? Most of the time, getting into these accidents, if it's not your fault, is the fault of the other person, which you don't really have control over. An accident will just happen, and nothing could have prepared you for the event to have occurred. It just happens out of the blue. So, constantly worrying about getting into an accident is only worth it from the perspective of you making a mistake on the road. But worrying about what other people are doing is not something that you can. Some people are control freaks and they have trouble with the idea of not being able to control every aspect of their life. The way I kind of like to live my life is going with the flow, right? Kind of not having no direction, but having a general direction and letting obstacles or certain events just happen as I travel down the path that I seek to go down. There's also instances where sometimes I wish I could rewind time and maybe relive the experiences I did in the past. A lot of people are nostalgic over the experiences they had when they were younger. For example, maybe maybe a nights out in when you're a teenager, going out with your friends, hanging out, walking around downtown type of thing. All those experiences seem so great at the time. And maybe they were, but at the end of the day, the rose tinted glasses will always tell otherwise. And the rose tinted glasses are the reason why we see these past experiences in such a positive light. It's because our memories and ideas of what actually happened actually have been distorted a little bit. But wishing to relive the experiences and go back in time to maybe even change the way you experience some of these things contradicts the idea of continue continuity, as in every single action in our past again has provided us with the outcome being yourself, who you are today. And it's important to really stay in the moment, because you don't really realize that even like a moment you're living in right now, the moment you're living in right now, might be something that you long for in the future. You might you might wish to come back to this state in time where, I don't know, you're just sitting down in front of your computer at 5 a.m. in the morning like I am, and it's so peaceful. You don't have to talk to anyone. Nothing to really worry about. Maybe that's something that you'll want in the future as well. So you have to always consider the fact that in your current circumstance, maybe you should really be enjoying the moment as it stands. Anyways, those are just some thoughts I had for today. Today's video is a little longer, but I'll try to come up with like a topic in general for each of these videos. Today's is kind of, I was originally made it to talk mostly about, thinking about the past, but it also kind of intertwined with the present as well. So yeah,